It's no secret that this game has been circled on the schedule for both programs, Oklahoma and Missouri. And despite how the season has gone for both of these programs, it's still very much important that Oklahoma and or Missouri get what they came for this season, but they got to win this game. This game being in Columbia is also kind of a nod to Missouri being an SEC member, for a very short amount of time. Oklahoma just got here, but Missouri, they leave the Big 12 to join the SEC, and they ain't done much since they got there, right? Gary Pinkel had them off and running there for a little bit, and then that fizzled. And last year, Eli Drinkwitz had a really great team that won the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State, had an All-American tailback who got Heisman votes in Cody Schrader, and then they went into the portal to try to, once again, rebuild and make a run at this thing. And they were a very sexy pick to kind of slide into the SEC championship game because the schedule didn't look difficult, and it still doesn't look especially difficult. And all they've done is drop games that, perhaps they shouldn't have. But also, we're talking about a program that has forgotten how to score here of late, right? They got blanked by Alabama 34-0. They scored just 17 against Auburn, need to come back to win in that game. And we all believe that Auburn is the worst team in the SEC. And now they got the bye week to try to get themselves right, try to get themselves healthy. We'll see if Brady Cook can go. But you also got Oklahoma, who is not at all where Oklahoma expects to be. As a matter of fact, firing the offensive coordinator before the halfway mark of the season, not how you draw it up. Benching the 5-star National Gatorade Player of the Year quarterback for the true freshman Michael Hawkins Jr., not how you draw it up. Both of those guys have got starts this year. Since been that Jackson Arnold has become the guy, and we got a glimpse of what he might be able to do when nobody was looking against an FCS opponent in Maine. And they got the get-back win that we expected Maine to be for Oklahoma, 59-14 against the FCS opponent. Never felt so much a member of the SEC if you're Oklahoma than getting to beat up on somebody in the FCS in November. It's just kind of, it just means more to beat up on these crappy teams in November. But also it gets you one step closer to bowl eligibility, and that is where Oklahoma finds itself now. It's just trying to get to bowl eligibility, right? At 5-4, with games against Missouri, LSU, and Alabama to close the season, you need to get this win against a Missouri team that is not as good as they were to start the season, and they're injured too, right? I think Javonte Barnes rushing for 200 yards is a really good sign. I don't care that it's Maine. I care that it's the number. I care that he's got 18 carries. I care that he is the guy that is the RB1 in a year where it did feel like Oklahoma was going to get an RB1. Taylor Tatum's not that guy. He can't hold on to the football, right? Gavin Sawchuk, mission in action. Tawi Walker, he at Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a guy that I thought they were going to hold on to say nothing of there is nobody to throw the football to that you want to on the outside, right? Deion Burks missed the game against Maine. Now, you should need Deion Burks against Maine, but the point is the same. You get that man back on the outside, and all of a sudden you have somebody that can go blow for blow with Luther Burden. If there comes down to you got to have an explosive play from a wide receiver, that would be the guy at Oklahoma to do it. Whereas this is also kind of a rivalry game in and of itself because of the recruiting that has gone on between these two programs, which is why we are talking about it. Like, you could call this the JJ Hester Bowl if you wanted to be kind about it, but JJ went down the street, to Booker T, which is the same place where Dax Hill went, you know what I'm saying? Robert Meacham, Felix Jones, all the way down. Booker T the Hornets been producing stars for a long time. JJ originally goes to Missouri, transfers to Oklahoma, and now he looks like he's going to be wide receiver 1 against Maine unless Deion Burks can go. And then you could talk about, Theo Wease, who started his career at Oklahoma and transferred to Missouri, and it's gone well for him. I like Theo. I think Theo is an outstanding player. I think Theo is an outstanding person, and he wants the challenge. Like, he really does want to go against the best that they are in this sport. And I think he understands that there are a lot of guys at Oklahoma that want to give him the business, specifically on that outside, right? Like, I would really have loved to have seen an informed Gentry Williams in this game because he also went to Booker T, and he needed, I think, to help himself. This is a guy that I genuinely believe would have been running in the Olympics at Paris if he had decided to go that road, but he wanted to play football, and he wanted to play at Oklahoma. I respect that. Theo, on the other side of Luther Burden, should be eaten if Brady Cook can go, but that's something else entirely because we know that if you got to run out Drew Pine, Oklahoma's going to eat that man alive because Alabama ate that man alive. He ain't got it. He ain't got it against that pass rush. He ain't got it against that defense. That's not what you want to do if you're Eli Drinkwitz. You're gonna ask Brady Cook to go out there and do anything possible because Drew Pine as an option is just not gonna work for you. The one thing that we need to discuss here that I took my time getting to because it's really one of the reasons that Oklahoma wants to win this game. It's not just that Missouri is who is Missouri to Oklahoma, right? You look at the series, it's lopsided. It's a lot like what Oklahoma's record against Oklahoma State is. In the last time that they played each other and were both ranked and good, talk about 2008, 2007. Both have been top 25 teams this year. Both are not top 25 teams at the time of this game. So it really is about pride, and it's about Cayden Green and what this new era of college football has wrought. So in the before times, kids, when there was no transfer portal and there was no name, image, and likeness, you wouldn't have dreamed of transferring from Oklahoma to Missouri. It just would not have happened. You wanted to get to Oklahoma in the before times because if you know you were offensive line and you were playing for Bill Bedenbaugh, you're going to the NFL. And you're probably going to get drafted in the first round. Creed Humphrey, starting center for Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs, right? Orlando Brown. We keep going. Tyler Guyton. In the after times, right? You keep going down the list of guys this dude put into the NFL. He, at one point, is one of the 2-3 best offensive line coaches in the sport. And this, I think, was when Sam Pittman was still offensive line coach at Georgia, this era that I'm talking about. But last year, 2023, just before, the portal is about to absolutely get on and popping, Cayden Green apparently showed up to the OU NIL collective and demanded a number. And the thought was that Cayden Green was going to get paid like an All-American should get paid at Oklahoma. And apparently what he was asking was 5 times that number. And they were apparently close, right? And yet and still he went into the portal and came out at Missouri. And it felt like the best offensive lineman Oklahoma was going to have going into the 2024 year had just left Oklahoma because the number was higher at Missouri. That's called business. And I don't begrudge Cayden Green going to get the higher number, but people are going to remember how you treat them. People are going to remember were you gracious on your way out. People are going to remember, did you tell them one thing and then do another? Because nobody likes to be lied to. Nobody likes to be fleeced. You want to deal straight up, right? That's what it is. And in Oklahoma, you got to deal straight up because people hold a grudge here like you would not believe if they believed that you were taking advantage of them. They never let that go. I don't think many people will let that go, quite frankly. So you end up with Cayden Green going to Missouri and that offensive line and starting there at left guard. And at Oklahoma, it has been particularly difficult to watch the offensive line because Oklahoma has been so injured and so bad on its offensive line this year. I don't have a problem saying this is the worst offensive line that Bill Bedenbaugh has ever had at Oklahoma. And it might very well be the worst offensive line he has ever had given the talent in that room and given the expectations for what that talent is supposed to do, right? You see Jacob Sexton just sitting there on the ground holding his knee and you're going, oh my goodness. You are watching players go down in camp and you're thinking to yourself, we should be better than this. You're thinking Aaron Parks goes into the portal. You're thinking Nate Anderson goes into the portal. You're thinking some of these guys that just need a little bit of time to develop go into the portal or just don't develop, quite frankly. And then Cayden Green, which was a guy that I think could have really helped this program, decides to go to Missouri, and Missouri starts out as a top 10 team, and Missouri starts out as a program thinking that they're going to beat up on Oklahoma this year to really enhance their SEC bona fides. And Oklahoma showed up to the SEC not needing no SEC bona fides because it's Oklahoma out here. You know what I mean? Like, we play for championships. We play in the college football playoff. Who is Missouri to us? And now we're in a gotta-have-it moment with Missouri being 6-2, but also sliding, right? And Oklahoma being 5-4, also sliding. This is a stop-the-bleeding game, right? Maine was a stop-the-bleeding game. Missouri is a are-we-healed game. Are we as healed as we're going to be before we got to go to work against Alabama and LSU? We're going to work each other over, but also we're trying to get into the SEC championship game because there's 5 teams at the top of that thing. And to date, the best team that Missouri has played is Alabama. It's going to give a good read on what Alabama is like if Oklahoma also can go in there and give Missouri the business. Maybe that's a fair fight. But I want to do this early look and talk about Jackson Arnold gives you an edge. Brady Cook can't go. Luther Burden and Deion Burks might cancel each other out, but Theo Wease gives you an edge. JJ Hester being a little bit better than Theo Wease is okay. But the defense at Oklahoma is good, right? The defense at Missouri has not been great. And that might be the difference in this game. On the road, SEC competition, for bowl eligibility for Oklahoma, and for OU fans to get something out of their system when they felt like Cayden Green just left them in the lurch.